All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Market Talk series. So, as we all have seen, this is quite a concerning, or I would say, yeah, to me, it will be concerning, all right, about Apple. Recent share price drop for 2 days straight of up to 6%. So, many investors have suddenly sold off their positions in Apple, which went up to a peak of $198 a week before, and then it slid 6% for a period of 2 days only. So I was also wondering what happened, why the share price actually declined so much. Because when I first saw it on Thursday, there wasn't much news out early in the evening in Singapore time, right? So US was early in the morning, so I did not really catch any news until later on Friday that realized that China actually is trying to put a ban, all right, for iPhone users to use their iPhones in government offices. So at that point of time, the ban was only limited to government, strictly government organizations, right? So like the ministries and stuff. But now, as of the latest news that I read, uh, it has actually expanded to government-linked companies as well. So the ban has been now scoped wider, and then we never know how far it's actually going to go in terms of the ban, right? So I will speak into more detail of how this ban is going to affect Apple's earnings, forward earnings, and the share price, whether it's in the knee-jerk reaction sort of territory or not. Okay, but based on what analysts have actually spoken, right? When I watch their views and stuff, I think a lot of analysts say that it's actually a knee-jerk reaction. For the share price to drop 6% in the matter of 2 days, it's pretty overdone. But this is what the analysts actually think, right? But for me, I did some in-depth uh, deep dive into this situation, and I think I will be a more conservative person to judge this situation. Also, I think that with Apple share price going up at until $197, $998 as of last week. Also, I think that this is not very healthy for Apple because it's reached a PE of forward PE of about um, 30 times. All right, forward earnings. Because if I looked at their last quarters, you can see my previous videos of this as well regarding Apple's latest earnings, right? A lot of their sales growth have actually declined. So this is also due to a worldwide slowing of purchase of smartphones. All right, so this is not only China. All right, the rest of the world as well. People are tightening their belts because of the high interest rate situation. So and of course high inflation, right? So this has caused Apple to Apple smartphones to have lesser sales. That was the last quarter's earnings report, and I foresee that the slowing should continue to take place until the end of this year. But of course, when I last listened to the Apple's management outlook regarding regarding their iPhones and the other products as well, Apple actually management is actually confident that things might pick up during Christmas. But I'm actually also forecasting an overall sales decline, even though there will be a pickup in the final quarter. I mean, in December, right, during the Christmas period, it will still overall be not as good as the previous years because of this slowing down. So, coupled with this situation where now China has actually had this sudden ban, right, of their of employees actually bringing Apple phones to the government offices due to their suspicion that they discovered a surveillance, a spyware in Apple phones that would capture information that is sensitive. So that's why when the Chinese government found out about it, they suspected that this might be a security issue, a national security issue, that they decided to put a ban on bringing iPhones to the offices or to government buildings. And now spread out to even government-linked corporations, which is quite a lot in China as well. All right, so the spread has been, the ban has been now spread out wider. Okay, so another issue is I feel is that this is a tit for tat sort of geopolitical issue, because US actually did it to Huawei before. So because of also national security issues, right? So Huawei was actually a lot of functions were actually banned in the US for Huawei phones. So now China is also doing the same, right? And with Taiwan and China also now having strained relationships because of the US coming into the play of talking about Taiwan and situations like that has caused China to do likewise, in terms of banning such devices into the government buildings. So what US did, they do likewise. So this sort of situations is pretty unpredictable of how far this will go, right? Due to the current tensions between the US, Taiwan, China, and it's better that that's why I would say that I will never invest in Chinese companies, even though some might appear undervalued. And unfortunately, a lot of US companies have huge investments in China as well, and has a huge market in China. So this is something that we cannot diversify from the de-risking of certain companies we invest in. So as a value investor, I will always, situations like that is uncontrollable, right? So it's very important that when we reprice our companies, that we need to take a look at giving a more conservative approach to revaluing such news, which I'll show you guys what I've done. All right.
Without further ado, let's dive in to take a look at the impact from this negative news. We first look at Apple's Q3 2023 segmented revenue results from China. Before I go further, I hope that you can help me by smashing the like button and subscribe if you like what you watched so far. Okay, the revenue from China has significantly improved compared to 5 years ago, and China becomes Apple's third largest market, just after Europe, with China contributing 19% of the overall group's revenues. The growth in revenue share is already evident just by comparing the latest Q3 2023 and Q3 2022 results. I noted that the revenue share from Apple China have gone from 15% in Q3 2022 to 17% in Q3 2023, and this is a healthy increase. However, from this table, we also noted that Q3 2023 revenues from China have slightly declined. The trailing 9-month ended revenues have also declined almost 6%. The declines is consistent with the overall market declines for digital devices last quarter within the Chinese market. As I mentioned earlier, Apple's management outlook for Apple and the business in China seemed to be cautiously positive, because the management team noted strong evident numbers that suggested switchers in China is growing in numbers. For those who did not watch my previous video in my company health check series regarding Apple's Q3 2023 results, do click on it to learn more about Apple's Q3 2023 results. and the resulting analysis from their results release. I will also speak about switches in the China market in the video. However, with the latest Chinese ban on Apple's digital products in government and government-linked offices and premises, we will need to reevaluate Apple's management's previous optimistic forecasts. We now look at my analysis on the likely impact of this exposure to Apple's Chinese forward revenues and its potential impact on the share price valuations. I usually base my numbers on the worst case scenarios from the market. This gives me an allowance for any margin of errors, as the situation is indeed fluid. Statistics show that the total employment in the Chinese government and government-linked agencies as at 2021 is currently 56 million. Most analysts in the market have estimated that the number of Apple users within the government is around 500,000. I, however, set this number of the affected iPhone users at 9.8 million, a huge difference to what market analysts predict. This is my preferred estimate, as valuations are something personal to each individual. You might think that I might be gravely wrong in my numbers, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. The potential sales loss from this ban could be around $9.8 billion. I assume that each new iPhone's average price to be at $1,000 each for the new iPhone 15 Pro. Total forward revenues contributed by China in FY 2023 should be estimated to be around $51 billion. The ban could drive declines in sales in the worst case scenario to a 20 to 23% downward range in the Chinese market itself. And this should impact Apple's stock price to decline about 10 to 15% from its peak, giving Apple a share price range of $168 to $177 near term should the news impact hit hard into the worst case scenario territory. Therefore, in conclusion, I think the news is indeed quite a bad one for Apple in the near term. And because Apple's share have been driven up so much due to very big expectations by investors in the near term, to a PE of close to 30 times, the decline on its valuations could be steep should Apple's performance be worse than analyst expectations. We shall see what happens from here. Till then, stay safe and see you in my next episode. For the win, guys!